and we'll formally get started here. If you got a question or anything, either unmute yourself or just put it in the chat. And I'm going to share my screen first. Okay, well, I see we got Kayla joining us. Hello, how you doing? If you can say hello in the chat, that'd be great. I'm officially starting and hit record, just starting now. And I got a little different setup here, try to make it look a little more professional. I got a microphone, hopefully for a little better audio. But just to go over briefly this week, what's going on here. We're still in the chapter 4 and 5 notes. We're wrapping that up this week. That's due tomorrow. And let's see here. I'm going to open this here up. I moved the assignment. So this assignment was originally in last week. Because it wasn't due last week, I've dragged it up into this week. So rather than have two different versions of it, may as well just move the same assignment. It's pretty easy to do. This is parts of two chapters. Chapter 4, Socializing the Individual, and Chapter 5, The Adolescent and Society. So socializing the individual is what affects you as a person to be socialized, like school, your family, your religion, your friends, your peers, your country, in your family, your birth order, if you're born first or second or third. There's all kinds of ways that we're influenced and socialized as an individual. The adolescent society looks at the age range that pretty much I think all my students are in. It's where you're a little bit older than you really think of yourself as a kid, but you're really not quite a full-blown adult yet. So you're in that middle age between maybe 13 and 18, the adolescent society. So I already talked about a bit last week, personality development. Actually, I may not have, now that I think about it. Okay, after a while, these weeks kind of blur together. Personality development is people develop their personalities over the course of their lives. So we're always going through changes. I go through changes. You go through changes. We're not the same people 5, 10, 15, 20 years later. Scientists have debated for years whether nature or nurture plays a bigger role. Nature is your biological makeup. You know, why are you the person you are? Because of your biology, okay? Your genetics. And that certainly does play some role. There's no doubt about it. Our genetics play a role. It's why you often find a kid will be somewhat like one or both of their parents because they share some of the same genetics. The other is nurture. Nurture is how you're raised, how you grow up. Okay. So nurture is all about, you know, your family, your culture, schooling, and so forth. And I'm going to be sharing some videos coming up, but there's one interesting combination is where they study twins, identical twins that grew up in different families and sometimes different countries. And they see how much they're like each other, how much they're not, because they have more or less the same genetic makeup. So that's a debate that goes on to this day. So the according to scientists, the principal factors that influence personality and behavior are heredity, birth order, parental characteristics. You know, your parents, are they educated? How do they behave? What's their culture? What's their beliefs? What's their values? And your cultural environment. So that's your whole culture you live in. And if you're American, you have the American culture. If you have a subculture, you have your subculture, and so forth. They use studies of isolated children suggest the importance of environment and personality development. The main idea of personality development is although nature versus nurture debate has raged for decades, most scientists believe a blend of the two influence your personality. And it goes into what your personality is. Your personality is a sum of all your behaviors, your attitudes, your beliefs, and your values. And that is your characteristic of an individual. And of course, that's where the nature versus nurture debate is. The nature debate, if you look under number 5, is about heredity, how much who you are based on your genetics, instinct. We all have instinct as part of our biology, inherited behavior, and sociobiology, searches for a biological basis of social behavior. And there's certainly, and also, like, for example, psychiatric disorder or problem could be physical. You know, it could be something where you're born with something about your brain or brain chemicals that affects your personality. And that's why you should never be shy about if you got any mental or psychological issues, because a lot of it is biological based. In other words, two people with the same background, same life, same experiences, same issues, same problems, whatever, can handle them very differently. And part of that could be biological. One person gets deeply depressed and maybe they get big highs and lows and highs and lows. Another person is more in the middle. And the person with the highs and lows and highs and lows, they might have an issue where they need to get some medication to help regulate that and deal with that. Nurture is, you look under number 6, your social environment. That affects you, where you live, and that could be, just use a couple of stereotypes. One person lives in a rural area. It's fairly quiet. People are spread out. They don't have a lot of social action with a lot of other people. They're around nature a lot. They're around animals a lot. And that affects their personality. Maybe they're not rich, but not poor. They're somewhere, average. Then another person grows up maybe in a wealthy suburb. They got lots of material things. They're around a lot of people that are maybe very pressured for high ambition to be doctors and lawyers and CEOs and all these type of jobs. At the same time, there might be a lot of social problems, believe it or not. Rich people can have more social problems than other people. And there could be a lot of negative influences also. And then using another stereotype, you have inner city, you got both good and bad influences in inner city. You got, maybe if you're lucky, you got a strong family, maybe you don't. If you're lucky, you have a safe neighborhood, but maybe you don't. Maybe there's bad influences in your neighborhood. And of course, things like that could happen anywhere too. If you have poverty and you got to deal with the stresses of that, that could affect you also. On to factors in personality development. It goes into more detail, but one of them here I'm just going to take a look at briefly because I'm not going to go over all of it, is birth order. If you take a look here, you see some of the characteristics of an only child or firstborn. They're more likely to be confident, perfectionistic, organized, scholarly, conservative, and they list some names of people that were either firstborn or only child. Got middle children tend to be more flexible, diplomatic, independent, balanced, and generous. And you got people like John F. Kennedy, Bill Gates, Donald Trump is in there. The last one, the last born tend to be willing to take more risks, more outgoing, more creative, more rebellious, more persistent. And of course, you might look at some of this, say, hey, I know people who are firstborn that aren't like that at all, or I know someone middleborn that's not like that. No, this is not every single person. This is where they've studied these people and come up with these characteristics for many of these people. Okay. So, and I'm not going to go over all these other ones right here. I'll just mention, actually, number 21, I'll just mention the tabula rasa. Tabula rasa comes from the Latin. It basically means clean slate. So the idea of that with Locke, with socialization, as you develop yourself, is the idea that they believe people are born like a clean slate, like there's nothing embedded in their personality or what they think or what they know, and then everything they experience, see, and learn is going to affect them and their personality. Of course, people believe that would believe in the nurture side of the debate, not the nature. And Cooley's looking glass self, right next to it, is the idea that we develop an idea of ourselves based on how we think others perceive us. So if we think others have a positive view of us, then that's great. If we think others have a negative view of us, that could bring us down, even if there's nothing wrong with us. Okay. And in the next Zoom, I'll go into some of the other ones on here. So that's some of our where we're at, and we're going to wrap those notes up. Then the videos. These aren't all the videos that go with that, but these are a number of them that go with 4 and 5. So we got some pretty good videos here. A lot of them are short. The most is like 9 minutes. The rest are 5 minutes, 4 minutes. They're about some of the people and events and issues going on here. So you watch those videos. There's an assignment with it. So make sure you do the assignment. Make sure there's a lot of points there, 40 points. Make sure you do all the criteria to get all the points. So if it says 2 paragraphs for a question, each paragraph should be at least 4 sentences. Make sure you do that for your minimum criteria. If you're not sure what to write when you're doing summaries and that, you can always give some examples and just elaborate. Assume the reader of that knows nothing about the video you're looking at. So some of the most obvious type of things you can write about. This year we have a video here this week, What Teenagers Want to Know. And that's a TED Talk by a guy named Roy Petafils. And I think you'll find it quite interesting. And then when you're done, you're going to write a summary for 2-3 paragraphs, and you're going to write an opinion. And the opinion can be on what he said, how he presented it, or things that makes you think about relating to what he said. All the above would be fair game. So that's what's going on this week. Now, we notice we're not doing a test this week for 4 and 5. We're not finishing it. We'll finish it next week. I got a few more videos for you guys to watch about twins and things where they've done studies. And we'll wrap things up and do the test maybe next Thursday or something, or next week, Thursday. In the meantime, it is election day. That's historic. And how does it relate to sociology? Well, politics relates to sociology. Economics relates to sociology. Social groups. If you notice, a lot of politics, they're talking about this group is for Republicans, this group is for Democrats, or Democrats are trying to get more voters of this group, and Republicans are trying to get more voters of that group. And they talk about all the different types of groups we talk about in here. They talk about men and women. They talk about rural and suburb and city. They talk about ethnic and racial groups. They talk about economic groups, the working class, the poor, the middle class, the rich. They talk about ethnic groups. Down in Florida, they're trying to get the Cuban votes, a big voting bloc down there, or the Puerto Rican vote, or in the case of Florida, also the old people, a lot of old people down there trying to reach out to the seniors. So political groups think a lot like sociologists in the sense that they think about different groups and what are the characteristics of that group? What do they want? What are they interested in? If I'm trying to get them excited to vote for me, what do I need to tell them? Who do I need to go visit? Who do I need to talk to? What endorsements do I want? Okay, so politics is very much related to sociology. And then also, if you're in politics and interested in sociology, we talk about social issues and social problems and how can we solve these problems. A lot of the early sociologists didn't just study them, they also wanted to take action. What can we do about poverty? What can we do about discrimination? What can we do about education or whatever it may be? So, well, either way, this is a new setup I'm trying out in my studio. Try to do a little different lighting and a little different sound. So let me know in the comments if that turned out okay, better than what I did before, which was no special microphone and no different lighting. So it ended up being, I think, more bland. And that's pretty much it, unless there's any questions. Any questions? Okay, I recorded this. I'm looking here to see if I can see the see if I can see the chat. And let me check here in the chat. Oh, it looks like everything's okay. So Kaden, I believe it's Kayla Dixon. Thanks for coming, and we'll be back on Thursday. So get your slides done and have a great day.